Good morning, everyone. I'm Samridhi Gulati from CSE department, and today I'm going to explain you all about function point analysis. Function point analysis, in this concept, we will discuss about the basic concept of FPA, numerical based on FPA, and features of FPA. Alan Elbrecht, while working for IBM in 1970, recognized the problem of size estimation, and after that he developed a method known as function point analysis, that is the solution of the size measurement problem. The main principle of function point analysis is that it decomposes the whole system into 5 functional units. Basically, it measures the functionality from the user point of view, and from that it means that what the user requests and what it receives in return. It is basically a standard that measures the size, functionality and complexity of the software projects. So moving on, this is the functional units of FPA. There are 5 functional units, and these are divided into 2 categories: data function types and transaction function types. In data function types, there comes internal logical files and external interfaces. And in transaction function types, there are external inputs, external outputs and external enquiries. So one by one, we will discuss about that. Internal logical files are a user identifiable group of logically related data or control information that is maintained within the system. External interface file are a user identifiable group of logically related data or control information that is referenced by the system, but it is maintained in another system. External inputs. An external input processes the control information that comes from outside the system, and external output are the elementary processes that generates the data or control information that is to be sent outside the system. External inquiries are elementary process that is made up of input-output combination that results in data retrieval. Basically, it helps in retrieving the data or information. So in layman language, inputs is the information entering the system, outputs as the information leaving the system, inquiries are the request for instant access to the information, internal logical files is the information that is held within the system, and external interface file is the information that is held by the other system but that is being used and analyzed by our own system. So let me explain this with the help of an example. For example, if I want to make, for example, if I wish to make a online platform for shopping like Amazon, Flipkart, in that case, the inputs can be user registration form, and add to cart form, product search, and so on. In case of outputs, the information that is leaving the system, in case of the online platform, online shopping platform, can be confirmation email, and the invoice. In case of enquiries, the user can check the availability of the stock of the product, as well as user can check its order status. In case of internal logical files, the information can be about the user information, user account information, and about the product catalog information. In case of external interface file, sometimes we uses a third party for payment as well as shipping purpose. So in external interface file, in case of online shopping platform, third party payment gateway can be used as well as third party shipping services will be used. So it might be clear now. So now how this function point is calculated? The function point is calculated using the formula fp is equal to ufp into CAF. Now what is this UFP and what is this CAF? UFP is unadjusted function point and CAF is complexity adjustment factor. So one by one we will try to understand what is UFP and what is CAF. UFP is calculated from the formula summation I equal to 1 to 5, summation j equal to 1 to 3, zij and wij. I and j, I indicates the row and j indicates the column of the weight factor table that we will understood further. Zij mentioned to the count of function points, means how many functional units are there and what are the count of these functional units. And wij is the weighting factors that are being assigned to all the functional units. So we solve it by multiplying the total function counts with the weighting factor. Once the weighting factors are identified, they are multiplied with the functional units accordingly. This is the table of weighting factors, like in case whether the complexity of the software is low, average or high, the weighting factors are as follows. In case of external input, if the software project complexity is low, the weighting factor will be 3. In case of output, it will be 4. In case of inquiries, it will be 3. In case of external logical file, it will be 7. In case of external interface file, it will be 5. If the complexity of the software is average, of the project is average, then external inputs weighting factor will be 4. Output factors will be 5. Inquiries will be 4. External logical files will be 10, and in case of external interface file it will be 7. If the complexity is high, then the weighting factor of input will be 6, output will be 7, inquiry will be 6, logical files will be 15, and in case of external interface file it will be 10. Basically, the organizations have their own set of criteria in determining the weighting factors and in determining whether the category of the software project is low, high or it's average. So this is the table that determine how the UFP is calculated. One second. For example, if the total count of input is 5, then in case of low complexity, 5 will be multiplied by 3. Then we will get 15. If it's average, then 5 will be multiplied by 4. Then the total count will be 20. If it is high, then 5 will be multiplied by 6. Then the total count complexity total will be 30. In case of outputs, if there are total 6 outputs And if its complexity is low, then 6 will be multiplied with 4 and we will get 24 as complexity total. In this way, we will calculate as per the count complexity given in the question. Okay, if it's average, it's whether it's low, whether it's high. It's totally depends on the question or the organization that is setting its criteria. In this way, all other complexity totals will be calculated and in last it will be summed up. Now, let us understand what is CAF. CAF is complexity adjustment factor. It basically adjusts the UFP according to the general system characteristics. Its formula is CAF equal to 0.65 plus 0.01 into summation Fi. Now, here comes the question, what summation Fi? Fi are basically the 14 factors that organizations has set and the organization determined its influence, means the organization themselves rate them in the scale of 0 to 5. Here are the 14 factors. Does the system require reliable backup and recovery? Is data communication required? Are there distributed processing functions? Is performance critical? Will the system run in an existing heavily utilized operational environment? Does the system require online data entry? Are the master file updated on time? And so on. Like this, there are 14 factors. And the organization determine their needs, in which scale they need to rate these factors. For example, for some organization, if performance is not critical, then they can rate it as no influence or incidental influence and they can assign it the value 0 and 1 accordingly. If we say that we need a code that is designed to be reusable, it's very significant, then we can assign the value 4 to it. So, organization will determine or rate the factors according to their requirements. Now, let us consider an example and solve the question to determine how the function point is computed. Consider a project with the following functional units. Like it's given that number of user inputs are 50, number of user outputs are 40, number of user inquiries are 35, number of user files is 6, number of external interfaces is 4. In this case, we are assuming that all the complexity adjustment factors as well as weighting factors are average. And we have to compute the function point for the project. So it means the value of Zij is given, means total function count is given, and we are assuming all the complexity adjustment factor, means that 14 factors are rated as average value, that is 3, and the weighing factors are also average. So let us solve this. So first of all, we have to calculate the UFP. Formula for the UFP is summation I equal to 1 to 5, summation j equal to 1 to 3, Zij and Wij. So as it's already given the values of the functional units, that is input its value is 50, for output its value is 40, for inquiry its value is 35, and for internal logical files its value is 6, and for interfaces it's 4. So we will take the weighting factors according to the question from the table. As it's already given that we are assuming all the weighting factors as average, so from the previous table, we will take all the average values for all the functional units. So, for calculating UFP, we need to multiply the functional count with its weighting factor. So, we will multiply it and in last we will sum it. So, we get UFP as 628. Now, we will compute CAF, that is complexity adjustment factor. As we all know, its formula is 0.65 plus 0.01 summation Fi, where Fi are the 14 factors. As it's already given that all the factors are average. So we know that on the scale, we know the value for average is 3. So we can multiply simply 14 by 3, or we can add 14 times. So we get CAF as 1.07. So function point is calculated using the formula UFP into CAF. So we will multiply 628 into 1.07 and we get function point as 672. So let us solve another example. In this example, it's individually given whether the functional units like inputs, output, inquiries are low, average or high. In this case, there are 10 low external inputs, 12 high external outputs, 20 low internal logical files, 15 high external interface files, 12 average external inquiries, and a value of complexity adjustment factor is 1.10. It means it's given that the value of CAF is 1.10. Now we have to calculate UFP, that is unadjusted function point, as well as adjusted function point, that is FP. So as already discussed the formula of UFP, we will take the weighting factors according to the complexity given. Like in case of inputs, the complexity is low. So we will multiply 10 with 3. In case of output, the complexity is high. So we multiply it with 7. In case of logical files, the complexity is low. So we multiply it with 7. In case of interfaces, the complexity is high. So we multiply it with 10. And in case of inquiries, the complexity is average. So we multiply it with 4. We have taken all this value from the table number 1. So we get UFP as 452. Now we will simply multiply it with the CAF value and we will get the function point. I hope it's clear. Function point analysis is a standardized method. By standardized we mean organizations have created it and it is being used worldwide in many corporate organizations. Once the function points are calculated, we can compute other metrics from it as well, like productivity, quality, cost and documentation, by acting it as a normalized measure of software size. The formula for productivity is total effort. It is being calculated or it is being given in person hour or person days or person months by function point. Quality is calculated by the total number of defects by function point. Cost per function point is calculated as total project cost by function point, and documentation pages per function point is calculated as total pages of documentation by function points. Let's consider an example or a scenario. In this project, it's already given that we have 200 function points. The total effort is 1600 person hours. Total cost is $40,000. Defects found are 20 defects. Documentation pages are 300 pages. So we will compute all the metrics one by one. As we know, the formula for productivity is effort by function point. So it's given effort is 1600 person hour and function points are 200. So we get productivity as 8 person hour per function point. Quality is calculated using defects by function point. As we know, there are 20 defects. So we will divide 20 by 200. So we will get 0.1 defect per function point. Formula for cost per function point is total cost by function point. Total cost is $40,000. It will be divided by 200 function points and we will get $200 per function point. Documentation per function point is computed as total pages by function points. There are total 300 pages. It will be divided by 200 and we will get 1.5 page per function point. So this is all about function point. Now we will discuss some special features of function point. Function point approach is independent of any programming language, any tools or methodology. It means it does not take into consideration which kind of programming language we are using, what database we are using and how the hardware is being processed. Function points can be estimated directly from the SRS, that is software requirement specification document or software design document, thus making it possible to make development estimation to compute development efforts in early phases of development. Function points are directly linked to the statement of requirements. It means any change of requirements can easily be followed by the re-estimation of function points. Function points are based on the user external view of the system, that is what the user is requesting and what it is receiving from the system. So it's very easy for the non-technical user to have a better understanding of what the function points are measuring. Thank you. That's all for today.